What's going on, guys? This is the president and CEO of Shane Taylor Promotions, current one-third six-man Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, and the baddest of all time, Shane Taylor, telling you that you are watching the Battlegrounds podcast.
Ring of Honor 19 is going down Friday night. You can watch it on Fight TV, of course. It is at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a huge match, and the lineup is absolutely amazing. And it just so happens that we have somebody on the show that is involved in Ring of Honor 19. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Welcome, Shane Taylor, to the Battleground Podcast. Shane, what's up, man?
What's up, boss? Thank you for having me. But if you're going to introduce me, man, you can't just introduce me as Shane Taylor. First off, you're talking to the former Ring of Honor World Television Champion. You're talking to the reigning and defending current Ring of Honor six-man tag team champions, CEO of Shane Taylor Promotions, the baddest of all time. Any of those would have worked, but you just came in with the lackluster.
I gotta let you do the intro, man, for when you bring it on. I could have said the CEO. I could have said all that stuff.
Is this the Battlegrounds podcast or is this Shane Taylor Promotions podcast? Okay, well, this is your show. Hey, you're supposed to be handling the intros. You're supposed to be doing this. You got to let the people know who you got on here. I can promote myself. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, man. And the thing is, though, is like, we're honored to have you on the show, and I like to just make it a very subtle intro and let you guys do the talking because we're here for you. I'm just the guy that just drives the truck.
I appreciate the way you're trying to flip it right now. Okay. Listen, I grew up with hustlers. I get it. I appreciate what you're trying to do. But what you're trying to do is get me to do the work of my intro. No, sir. That's what we won't be doing today, sir.
Well, would it be better if I said, welcome to the show, the man, the myth, the legend, and the soon-to-be, because I'm going to go ahead and put it out the universe, soon-to-be Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, because you got screwed. We'll talk about that later in the show.
We'll get to that.
You know, first off, I want to know about how cool is this, the fact that you now have an action figure. Like, not many people can say they have their own action figure, and you've got some very custom ones from Claymore Customs. So how cool is it to see the prototype? How did all that go about getting together?
Simple. Just like with the creation of STP, what other people won't do, I decided to do myself. And so essentially what that is me going, all right, how do I best get these things for me and my guys, right? So I reached out to Claymore Customs. We talked about the ideas. We talked about what we wanted to do. He saw it as a great opportunity, not only for us, but for himself as well. And that was the result. You know what I mean? So it'll be about a month. We'll do a limited run of them because what a lot of people don't understand about producing action figures, right? When you work with like a Mattel or these big companies and you are a huge company like WWE, because they mass produce them, they're able to be $15-20 a piece. You know what I mean? But when you do them on a smaller scale, they become more expensive, right? So as happy as I am to have these, it's a dope first step. We won't be able to produce that many, but that'll just make them all that much more special because these will be like the first and only of their kind. But yeah, man, just I'm happy for me. I'm happy for my guys. If there's anything that I can do to help further their dreams, then that's what I'm here to do.
And I mean, when I saw the photos of it, because I was scrolling through in Twitter, and you know, of course, you could follow Shane at Shane216 Taylor. You could see it right there. I mean, these things look spot on. I mean, how is the process going with that? Like, did they just send you and you're like, this is it, like I'm done? Or like, how is the process of getting this going?
The way we did the prototypes, they kind of break it down kind of like piece by piece, and even like, and so then we send in like the imaging for tattoos and stuff like that, which I have one, but Khan has a million of them, so I'm sure that was a hell of a process, but they look dope. And I think once we start getting this next run going, we're going to do like 3D face scans and things of that sort, just to really make sure Everybody's face is on point. Get it as close to looking as realistic as possible, and be able to get these to the people. You know what I mean? There's already been a big surge of questions and inquiries. The demand is great. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. Probably about a month or so. We'll see what's happening.
Super excited. Can't wait to get my hands on a set of those action figures. So kind of let's take us back to kind of the beginning. A tag team that you were in, the Pretty Boy Killers, you and Keith Lee. Had you known Keith before that, or were y'all just kind of like sitting in the locker room hanging out and you're like, you know what, let's be a tag team?
I'd known Keith for a year or so before that. Moved down to Texas like end of 2014, I believe, or no, end of 2013, actually. And yeah, like I'd been seeing him on his singles run. He'd been doing his thing. I'd been doing mine. And actually, the goal, because the NWA at the time was working with Noah, and they needed more tags teams to go to Noah to compete and try to win back their titles, their world tag titles. And I said to Keith, I go, look, man, individually we'll be fine in our careers, but there wasn't a tag team on the planet that looked like us, that could do what we do, that could combine our aggression, size, speed, charisma, athleticism, you name it. And I thought, what could we do together? You know what I mean? And that could really put this business on its ear, so to speak. And once we started talking, we realized a lot of the things that we saw about the sport, we agreed with, and the things that we didn't like, we both agreed on. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the focus on the name. And I had to borrow that from a buddy in Ohio, Trip Lee, because that's exactly the way we saw it. There are so many people that have these preconceived notions about what a superstar can be in this sport, what they look like, what they dress like, how they walk, how they talk, where they're from. You know what I mean? When you hear someone describe a champion and the first thing they say is blonde hair, that eliminates a lot of people. You know what I mean? When you see an image of, you know, a guy like a Ric Flair, they say, you know, that's what a champion looks like. Cool. But a champion could also look like me.
Yeah.
A champion could also be from the east side of Cleveland, Ohio. A champion is about what you do, not necessarily what you look like. And so that was really kind of the emphasis behind the name, was to go, okay, we're going to take everything that you think a champion is, everything that you think a star is, prove to you that we can be that and more. And by the way, we're going to outperform every single person on your roster everywhere we go. And there's really not a damn thing that you can do about it.
Exactly. And you know, you guys are the 1/3 of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag champions. And it's, you know, that's gotta be a cool thing. And of course, we're going to talk about that here in a second. But something a lot of people you don't see very often is staying with a company for a while. And you've been with Ring of Honor for the better part of a decade now. Where do you see the product and pro wrestling headed? And what are the impact that you're planning for the future?
I mean, I think it's headed in a great direction, and I think ROH is leading that, regardless of how people feel about it, or if they want that to be the case or not. You know what I mean? Especially since coming back from the break because of the pandemic, and we were doing it before that, but especially since the return. We've been firing on all cylinders with a focus on sport and bringing it back to realistic competition and giving you those real fight feels that are so exciting in other combat sports, right? Like, that is the point. When you watch a boxing match, you are into it because of the fight. You are into it because of the emotion involved. Whether you like someone like Floyd Mayweather or you hate him, you're watching because you want to see what happens. You know what I mean? Whether you are a fan of a guy like John Jones or not, you are watching to see if he can establish his legacy, continue it, or does someone knock him off the throne? Like, that is what you are watching these things to see. And that is kind of how we've been presenting things. And I think the feedback that we've gotten is incredible. And I know myself, the way I perform, the way I speak, the way I carry myself lends itself to this type of production in this environment. So I see big things for myself, for all of Shane Taylor Promotions going forward. And if I have anything to say about it, we're going to continue this charge like only we can do.
Yeah, and you talk about Ring of Honor, and we've had PCO on, we've had Session Moth Martina on, and the thing that we've noticed about Ring of Honor, and every single superstar that's been on the show has had nothing but high praises for how Ring of Honor handled the pandemic. The fact that they kept on rolling, they kept you guys on payroll, they didn't lay anybody off, and I think that's the one thing that most people haven't noticed that Ring of Honor has done, is taking good care of their roster.
Because that's not what gets the clicks. Doing the right thing doesn't make headlines. I mean, we live in this world of where the negative is the first thing you see. What that's the saying? A lie will make it halfway around the world before the truth can get out of bed and put its shoes on. You know what I mean? So for a while there, it was the popular thing was to disrespect ROH. And now that we're putting on better shows than anybody, better matches than anybody, we're running things better. A lot of people are quiet now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which allows the voices who have been supporting us to be heard, and those numbers are growing, which is what you want to see and what you want to hear.
Exactly. And, since the pandemic's hit, like, we have thoroughly enjoyed Ring of Honor, and there's so much in the library that they were able to do, like a best of this person this week and a best of person this week. And then once you got into the Ring of Honor bubble, like, nonstop every week has been something that you have to pay attention to and watch. And, something else that a lot of people kind of watch and look is at the PWI 500, you coming in at number 65 for 2020. Which is a great ranking, but I think that wasn't a good ranking in our opinion. I think it should have been a little bit higher up in the rankings, not at 65, but you're on the list. And
I think the year before I was like 200 something. So what a jump. You know what I mean?
Big jump.
What a jump it was.
And you're also ahead of names like Jeff Cobb and Willie Mack. So do you pay attention to rankings like these? Like, do they fuel your performance to keep moving up to 2021? I mean, you went from 200 to 65, and I think I would probably say you're going to be top 20 come 2021.
I mean, it does. I'd be lying if I said it didn't, but only because I'm the type of person that's motivated by that. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I can't say. That's just what I do, right? Other people do different things. I get motivated by that. I get motivated when someone says there are 64 other wrestlers in the world better than me. There aren't. I get motivated when people, tell me, hey, we can't do this for you because we don't think it's going to sell, or we can't do this. Those kind of things piss me off. Those kind of things only light that fire to prove everybody wrong. And the last thing you want is a pissed off and motivated Shane Taylor on the other side of you. So I enjoy it though too, right? Because there's still a lot of people that seem not to understand this about me. And so that just gives me all the ammunition I need to keep doing what I got to do.
Yeah, and us here on the show are saying Shane Taylor is going to break the 20 spot in the PWI 500 in 2021 because, I mean, you're having a hell of a year. I mean, you're a dominant ROH TV champion, just had a great match for the world title. You got screwed on it, which a fan asked a question about that, so we'll get to fan questions in a little bit. But you're currently 1/3 of the ROH six-man tag champs. Can we safely say that Shane Taylor and Shane Taylor Promotions are solely focused on championships gold in 2021 and beyond?
That's always been the focus, you know what I mean? But it takes time to put all the pieces in the right place, right? They say this is chess, not checkers, right?
Yep.
And so my goal is to be a grandmaster at this game. And sometimes you got to slow play it. Sometimes the best thing to do is just lay back and watch your opponents move. You know what I mean? See what they do, see how they react, and then move accordingly. And that's exactly what we did. Ring of Honor wanted to hand us the SIG X-Man titles at Final Battle because Max's squad couldn't make it. But there was no way that we were going to let that happen, right? Because then there's always an asterisk next to your reign. Like, oh, well, you're the champ, but you didn't really beat the champs, right? And we weren't going to have that.
Exactly.
So we wanted to make sure that when we got our shot, we delivered, and we delivered in a way that nobody would be able to take it from us. And now we have them. And now, you know, Mag's squad gets their rematch, which we are glad to give them. But again, and we were talking about fuel to the fire, right?
Mhm.
So let's just keep this in mind, right? Mexa squad gets their rematch almost immediately for the world 6-man titles. Can you tell me when my rematch was for the world TV title?
I cannot tell you that.
You can't, because it didn't happen. So we're talking over a year later, no rematch for the kid, but Max's squad gets theirs. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that I'm talking about that I say that people don't understand when I talk about, you know, Shane against the machine. You know what I mean? It'd be easy to, if I were one of the favorites, to, you know, get the things that I need to get done. But it's a struggle. But it's a struggle that we're willing to fight because this is what we do.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a big fight at ROH 19 Friday night, which, by the way, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can watch it on Fight and pay-per-view against Mexa Squad. Like, do you kind of have a game plan already in mind? I don't want you to spoil it because if they watch it, I don't want to be the cause that you guys drop the titles.
Never.
But I mean, the guys are coming in; they get their title shot. Do you think that they deserve this to come back, or do you think it should be somebody else?
No, of course they do. You know what I mean? If you're a former champion, and especially with the circumstances they had, right? They won them, but they couldn't really team together for almost a year due to COVID. We're supposed to come back and couldn't. Then the time you have to defend them is against the baddest group in ROH. You took a L. All right. You deserve to regroup, come back, and see if you can try it again. No problems with that. But the problem that they're gonna have is we're just gonna prove it wasn't a fluke the first time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's gonna be a heavy hitting match. I mean, you've got STP and Mexa Squad, Shane Taylor Promotions. I mean, it's going to be one hell of a match. And what's it like? What has it been like leading Shane Taylor Promotions with Moses and Khan? Like, how did this all come about?
Started with myself and Ron Hunt talking about what we wanted to do, growing frustrations as the TV champion when I'm watching throughout history, seeing so much promotion, so much hype, so much buildup around every other television champion before me, whether that was Ospreay or Bobby Fish or Kushida or whoever else had the title. And Jay Lethal, for example. When they had it, their names were always on the marquee. Their matches were always denounced, and I get it. And here it is, thinking, hey, I've had a breakout year. People are finally starting to see that I'm busting my ass. I'm working hard. This is my chance to make history. Only the third African American male to ever win this title. This should be my time, right? That's what I'm thinking. And then nothing. As the TV champion, my matches aren't being announced. As the TV champion, you don't even know that I'm on the shows. So that pissed me off, right? Just like in the Last Dance, right? I took that personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when the frustration grew. And I'm noticing at the same time we're promoting every other company that we seem to be working with. So I said, okay, if I need to make myself my own company then, in order to get the promotion that I need to get, that's what I'll do. So that's what I did. And then it became a strength in numbers thing, right? So I look for like-minded individuals that think the way that I do, that want to see the changes that I want to make, that want to carry themselves and fight the fights that I want to fight. And Khan and Moses were a perfect fit. You're talking about guys from MCW, Maryland Championship Wrestling, who were in the dojo system, who were, you know, kind of just waiting for their chance. Nobody knew what to do with them. They had a lot of talent, but nobody was really sure. So I said, okay, I'll get them. You know what I mean? And they're proving now, just a little over a year later, what I saw on them day one. and what everybody else is starting to see, and is that they are the future of Ring of Honor. They're going to be the pillars of the tag team division for years to come, like mainstays in the tag team title scene, mainstays in any title scene that they want to be in, because they're that good. And they're only getting better every single time out, every time they talk, every time they move, every time they do anything, they're getting better. And I get to sit back and just say, I told you so. You know what I mean? And for me, as the leader of the group, the face of the team, you know, they don't have to prove to me why they should be able to follow me, right? They set examples. Same with O'Shea Edwards, same with Ron Hunt. I have to wake up every day and prove to them why I should be the leader of this, right? So that keeps me where I need to be.
Yeah, and you mentioned O'Shea, which is he's a big name here in Nashville. And I remember we were at the Ring of Honor show. I want to say maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when I was at the fairgrounds. And kind of pulling back the curtain and breaking kayfabe for a second, I remember O'Shea was a security guard going through a table that night from PCO. And then
Right.
now he's lined up with you, and look at what O'Shea's doing.
This is what I'm saying, man. There's benefits of being in the mob. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, from action figures to, you know, success in and out of the ring. This is what we do. You know what I mean? This is excellence. I demand it from my guys, and I demand it from myself. So I won't ask them to work any harder than what I'm working, but I'm busting my ass, and they know it. So they know that they're at least gonna have to match that. And yeah, and this is and we're on a roll, man. It feels really good to be building something that's so organic that people are getting behind, and they understand the message, they understand what we're trying to do, because we don't have the machine behind us.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is just us. And I think a lot of people are just surprised we keep making shit work.
And it's obviously working, because you've got gold around your waist, and we're
Right.
about to have more gold by the end of 2021. So that's what I'm saying. Now, earlier in the day, I sent out a tweet asking for some fan questions, and there's some really good ones. And I think me and you, before we started recording, we talked about one question, and this has got to be a cool moment. This is actually coming from @DirectorAMD, and he says, I was watching ROH a few months back, and my son, 9 years old, caught one of your matches. His jaw dropped, and he was in legit awe. He looked at you like how I looked at Hulk Hogan wrestling at his age. So my question is, what drives you to continue to perform at the level you do? And he asked that question because you are one of the few guys in the industry that when you have a match, it's can't miss, and you leave everything in the ring every time. It's incredible.
Man, that's dope. I mean, this is questions like that, reactions like that, impressions like that, creating memories like that are why we do what we do. So first and foremost, thank you to him and his son for watching, for supporting. And I think the answer to that question is, I know what happens if I don't, right? I'm not just responsible for my career, but I've got 4 other careers that I'm responsible for right now as well. That's my family and 4 other families, right? That I know this has to work. So I know people are waiting for me to slip. And I trust me, there are people waiting for me to slip. There are people waiting for me to lose a step. There are people waiting to be able to write me off. And I refuse to give them that satisfaction. I refuse to let that happen. I refuse to let them see that. And so I have myself, and I have my performance at a standard right now that I'm going to maintain for as long as I am physically able to. And that is to go out and just like he said, leave everything in that ring every single time, and show everybody every single time out why I am the baddest of all time, and why Shane Taylor Promotions is the most cohesive unit in all of professional wrestling. I don't care what company you're talking about. There's a reason we all work so well together. And that's because we all have that target on our back and know what that feels like. So we all are kind of in this position right now where we're all backs to each other, ready to fight the world. And if that's what we got to do, then that's what we got to do. But it creates matches like people are enjoying.
Exactly, man. I guess we just go ahead and mic drop the interview now, because I mean the answer to that, I guess we're done. We'll just kind of clap our
Right.
hands and call it a day. But man, there's a couple more other fan questions on here. At Boston Armin wants to know, was winning the TV title or six-man title a bigger accomplishment, and why?
Great question as well. With the TV title, like I said, third ever African American male to win that, so that's history there. With the six-man titles, we are the only and the first all African American team to win those titles. So I made history on both fronts. I think with the six-man titles, that win is a little sweeter because I got to have Con and Moses with me. That's their first title win, right? So to be able to not only take the next step in my legacy, but help them establish theirs at the same time, that's what this is all about. That's what Shane Taylor Promotions is all about. So I think if I had to rank them, the six-man title win would be a little bit sweeter than the TV title win because I got to bring my guys with me.
I like that answer because, and like you said, history with the six-man tag title. So that gives you a little bit more up there when it comes down at the end, when you look back at your career and you're like, that was one of my defining moments in my career.
Right.
So I don't know how to say his name on Twitter, but his name is Gooblin Ryan wanted to know, and this is an interesting question because I want to know, will we see Shane Taylor go after Kenny King after costing him the ROH world title? And I can see it right now as you crack your neck. I know this is going to be a good one.
Man, this is the thing with Kenny, and I'll address this soon. It's just, do you have brothers or sisters? Like you have?
I have an older sister. Yes.
You have an older sister, right? So I'm sure your entire lives, right? You guys have had ups and downs, but if you had to choose someone to have your back, it'd probably be her, right?
Yeah.
More than likely, right? Same thing with Kenny, right? I come from a place where we don't trust a lot of people. I come from a place where I could probably count the number of friends, real friends that I have on both my hands, right? And Kenny was one of those. So losing an opportunity at the Ring of Honor world title, okay. To have him be the reason that I lost changes things a bit, right? And everything in me wants to get revenge, wants to find him, beat his ass every single day, have him be paranoid, looking over his shoulder at the grocery store, wondering if I'm going to get him. And that's what I want to do. But he knows me well enough to know that's what I want to do. Right. So like we talked about, this is chess, not checkers.
Yep.
But also, right. So you have that. I definitely want to pay him back for that because nobody gets over on me like that. But I promised fans change, especially change in how African Americans in general, but especially African American men are viewed in this sport and are viewed in society. And competition is one thing, revenge is another. On every media platform, you can see us hurting us killing us everywhere you look, right? From TV to movies to music, everything.
Yeah.
Nothing that I want to do about Shane Taylor Promotions do I want associated with those stereotypes. So that now presents a quandary between the guy that I used to be and the man and the leader, the mentor that I'm trying to be now. There are children watching me now. There are grown men and women watching me now, looking at me the way I looked at some of my heroes. Do I want them to see me focused on achievement or focused on revenge?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at, right? So to answer the question, I don't know. Um, but I do know that the old me and the new me can't exist at the same time. So the question is, which is going to win out in the end?
Yeah. And that's like you said, I mean, that's going to be the tough decision because you don't want that to play out on TV because I mean, every time you flip on the news, it's like you said earlier, it's everything. You can't
Absolutely.
not see it.
Exactly. And I can't bring the change that I want to bring and be that leader while I'm feeding into the same thing. It can't happen. And
Yeah.
Kenny knows that, right? So he's not a dumb guy. He's very smart. He knows that I'm gonna have to make this choice. And in a shitty way, either way he wins, right?
Yeah.
Because either I give in and give him what he wants and compromise what I'm doing now, or he walks. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a double-edged sword for you on this situation. So, um,
Absolutely.
now that kind of we see a lot of other wrestling promotions working together, is there anybody that Shane Taylor would like to have a match with, or maybe Shane Taylor Promotions as a faction would like to have a match with from anywhere? If you could pick, who is it going to be?
Man, and I'm glad you asked that because there are at least 30 to 40 people in the Ring of Honor roster right now who are dying for an opportunity that aren't getting it, right? Simply because there's just not enough time in the day.
Yeah,
Um, so for us, we want our challengers to be those guys because we've beaten all the main eventers. We've beaten them. So nobody's going to fight you like the guys that are hungry, that are
hmm,
starving, that are waiting for their opportunity. They're going to give you their best shot. Like, remember when your school, I don't know if you played sports, but like we play football and we would always scrimmage like a lower class team in the summer just to
yeah, get you
just to
ready.
exactly, right? To us it was a scrimmage, to them it was everything, right?
Yeah,
Because it was their opportunity to show that they deserve to be on the same field as us. And that's what you have in Ring of Honor right now. You've got a whole roster full of people dying for an opportunity, dying for their chance to be a champion, dying for their opportunity to be in the main event. And the six-man titles are the only ones with no ranking system. So literally anybody and everybody that wants a shot has the opportunity to get it. So we don't have to fight anybody from any other company. There are plenty of people for us to fight right here in ROH, and we welcome them all.
man. And so, are you suggesting? Are we throwing this out there that Ring of Honor should start a ranking system for the 6-man tag shot?
No, no. I like the fact that we're the only champions that don't have one, right? Because then we don't get the benefit of scouting 3, 4, 5 opponents ahead. Whoever shows up to fight is who we fight. That's it. And if we're going to be the baddest group in our ROH, that's what we have to do. Any style, anybody, any team, I don't care what the variables are, we will walk into your house, beat your ass, eat your food, and put our feet up because that's what we do. You see what I'm
Man.
saying?
Oh yeah, that
Everybody else can, I mean, they can scout ahead and know, well, the top three and all this. Cool, have that. I don't care. We line up and fight whoever's across from us. Come get it.
and that's what you want. You want a hungry championship team, and you welcome all comers. Shane Taylor, of course, Friday night, Ring of Honor 19. You got a big match against the Mexa Squad, getting their opportunity to attempt to get those titles back. I said that because
Absolutely.
that ain't gonna happen. We all know that that's not gonna happen come Friday night.
No, sir.
Shane, it has been an honor to have you on the show. Real quick before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to tell listeners? Where can they follow you at on social media? All that stuff.
Appreciate it. And of course, as we mentioned, at Shane216 Taylor, Taylor, on Twitter and Instagram. Be on the lookout for those action figures in about a month. Be on the lookout for hats, jackets, jerseys as well. We'll be working on all of those, getting you all your custom STP merchandise. And I just want to thank you guys for the support. It's been incredible to be not necessarily the underdogs, but the group that is succeeding in spite of some people's best efforts. I want to say thank you guys for believing in us, for supporting us, for following us the way you do. We are going to continue to give you exactly what you want to see out of us, which are the performers, the leaders, and the examples that we can be, not only for my generation, but all future generations going forward. So thank you guys.
Shane, once again, it's an honor to have you on the show. We're looking forward to you getting those hands raised on Friday so Shane
Yes,
Taylor
sir.
Promotions can keep the 6-man tag championships. And of course, once again, Ring of Honor 19, Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. You can watch it on pay-per-view and fight. And Shane, it's an honor to have you on the show. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Inshallah. And still.